we have two guests every single week that recall circumstances, people, and even memories that have humbled them, to help them reflect and grow through the act of gratitude. And just very proud of being able to do this show every single week. We actually took off last week because of the holidays, but now we're back into the flow of things of the show, and just certainly excited to be here. Absolutely. Guys, like I said at the beginning when we were just kind of introducing things, if you ever get an opportunity, please try to pop around the app. Monday through Thursday, there's a lot of different shows going on throughout the week. There's a lot of people putting a lot of time and energy and effort into what they're doing. And please just pop in, just even if it's for 5 minutes, just to kind of see what people are, doing and putting in a lot of work and energy into what they're doing. So, I just wanted to just give a shout out to everybody else doing that. So just always check under trending Monday through Thursday. There's always new shows also that people are coming up with every single week, and we just want to continue to support them in the best way we can possibly. So if you're new to the show, we just introduced what gratitude is, and we like to start out every show, guys, with two amazing quotes. And this week's quote is this: the size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dream, and how you handle disappointment along the way. Let me say that one more time. The size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dream, and how you handle disappointment along the way. I also have one more quote, guys. It says, what a feeling of empowerment to discover we can persevere through disappointment rather than crumble in the face of it. What a feeling of empowerment to discover we can persevere through disappointment rather than crumble in the face of it. Guys, I don't know about you, but that hits a little bit different. I love that. It's certainly spot on. And I think a lot of times us in life, we can have a lot of disappointments, a lot of things that may not necessarily go our way. But if we continue to have like the best attitude about it, if we try to have the best mindset about it, things can certainly work out for us in the long run. We'll kind of get into this week's topic here in just a little bit. But as we kind of reflect on last show's topic, which was tiny victories, just want to welcome certainly somebody that I have a lot of respect for on the app at the time. He's certainly been someone that I've continued to follow since I've been on the app, and certainly have a lot of admiration and respect for the guy. So at this time, guys, please welcome Mr. Kenny Wayne to the box.
Brother.
Yo, what's going on, man?
Oh,
hope things are good your way. Happy Monday to you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be seen, man. Every day I wake up, it's a good day to be seen.
Absolutely, man. And, first off, I just wanted to thank you for being on the show. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're certainly a busy dude with, multiple things going on, I'm sure, in your personal life, and being an amazing father. So I appreciate you just taking the time to, be here. And also, guys, just kind of as a little bit of a plug, Kenny's also got a show later on tonight, guys. It's every Tuesday, 12 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know it's a little bit late for Eastern people, but also on the West Coast. He has a show every Tuesday morning, 12 o'clock a.m. It's called After Dark with Kenny Wayne. It's an amazing show. It's a great interview style show. I actually had the opportunity to be on it last week, and it was a great show. So definitely, later on tonight, check him out. Definitely try to support him in a lot of different ways and kind of see what he's doing in his neck of the woods.
Yeah, to be on 2 hours.
Yeah. So, man, for anybody, obviously, that's been living under a rock on the app for the last 2 years, if you kind of want to introduce yourself, what kind of brought you to streaming, anything you'd like to share personally, or kind of give any insight about you?
Before COVID, I was just a kind of just a gifter, and I got on every once in a while. But then when COVID hit, I just, I became a streamer,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly been, for me anyway, an awesome opportunity to be able to create so many wonderful relationships on the app, off the app. You meet a lot of interesting people that can really just impact your life in a lot of different ways that I'm sure, that you may have not necessarily seen either.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people on here that I was surprised that I actually connected with and became friends with and I've shared bonds with. People I never would have thought, I think for people that kind of watch me like me and Trainwreck, we battle a lot and we become friends. And when I first came on the app, the very first time I watched that guy, I was like, oh man, this guy's he's an a-hole. Like, I don't like this guy. But then, you know, as I got to know him, I realized that he was playing a character kind of like a lot of people do on this app. You know, we play characters at certain times, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. I think a lot of times that, you know, when you're streaming or whatever the case may be, whatever platform that may be, it certainly only gives you just a small window of someone's life. It gives you just a small, like, little, you know, insight into who they really are as people. You know, obviously we're on just a iPad or computer screen or iPhone screen, but it doesn't really give you just a whole picture of how someone really is, I don't think.
Right. Facts.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, Trainwreck is a great guy. You know, first impressions can sometimes be everything, but sometimes they can't be the only thing either. You know, you can pop into someone's stream. Maybe they're off on a bad day. Maybe they're talking about a conversation that you can't necessarily relate to. So it doesn't necessarily always give you an accurate depiction of who that person is. But as you kind of stick around, as you kind of have more of a conversation with those people, it gives you, at least for me anyway, a better understanding of who he or she really is as a person.
That's true. That's true. And you know, like you said, they say first impressions are everything, but they're not. They're not everything there is, because I know a lot of times I don't give the best first impression. It just depends on, you know, like if you pop in my live and I'm being goofy and silly, you might think, well, this guy's he's not serious, he's immature or whatever. But that's furthest from the case. Like, you know, like a lot of times when I'm on here, I'm getting away from reality. So
Right.
you know, so a lot of times I'm branching out, I'm being silly, I'm having fun, which, you know, like I've battled randoms on here and they're like, you're a grown man and you want me to shave my eyebrow? I'm like, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but it's the fun factor of that. It's the silliness. It's the things that, like you said, you kind of step away from reality a little bit, and it brings you into kind of a fantasy world where you can, you know, maybe be a little bit more comfortable with yourself. You're not so much worried about, you know, work, or you're not worried so much about, you know, maybe bills and other things. It kind of just gives you a little bit of an escape, an opportunity to just to kind of connect and unwind a little bit in a way that, you know, it kind of gets you outside of your element, I think, a lot of times.
That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and I love it too, man. And you've obviously, you know, been very successful on the app, and I've been very fortunate and blessed to do the same. And you know, it's such a wonderful, I feel like, platform to like I said, be able to connect and to be able to meet so many different people from so many different walks of life in different ways. And it's certainly hard to be able to do that. You know, maybe just going to the grocery store or going to the gym or, you know, anywhere like that. It's just it opens so many different doors for sure.
Right. Right. For sure.
If you kind of want to just sort of touch on what we were talking about tonight, which was tiny victories, when you think about that, when you think about where your mind kind of goes when you hear that phrase, what pops out in your mind?
Man, I guess a lot of things. You was just talking about that. I was thinking about softball because, you know, that's, as everybody knows, my emoji's a softball emoji, and it's that because I coached my girls for 10 years playing softball. And one of the things that I've always taught my kids is you lose with the same dignity as you win with, right? And so we had a team one time that most of the girls on it were really small. They're really small girls, and a lot of teams look past us and they'd say, you know, like, we got this. We would hear them talking, hey, we got this, you know, and I would tell, you know, the girl, like, y'all hear that, you know, whatever. And then we get out there and we'd either beat them or we give them a run for their money, and they'd be like, wow. You know, then I'd hear the coaches be getting on them like, you see how they're playing? Y'all need to play like that. Well, it was because, you know, my main thing that I always taught the girls is, like, even if you don't win, you got to have a little bit of fun in there. Everybody wants to win. Like, that's when you're playing tournament ball, that's the main goal, is to win.
Absolutely.
But if you're not having fun, it's hard to appreciate a win. So really I think the small victory in that is if you can have fun and win at the same time, that's a small victory.
Yeah, it really is. Because like you said, the way you win with dignity is how you lose as well. I mean, you're not going to win all the time. You're not going to lose all the time. But if you do that with the right mentality, you do that with the right mindset, that's where the victories, that's where the goals come into place. And I think that that certainly, says a lot about you, not just as a streamer, but as a dad and as a person. Because when you're trying to set that tone, when you're trying to lead by example, in your daughter's lives, kids are like sponges. It doesn't really matter what age that they're at, even if they're teenage years or small children, that they absorb everything they see, everything they hear, and if they're given that kind of attitude and right mindset to try to look at things from that perspective, I think that in the long run, it certainly teaches them a lot of things about leadership, certainly teaches them a lot about guidance and things that they can probably use in a lot of different aspects of their personal everyday life.
Yeah, and the one thing that when I noticed my girls were listening to me is, they played volleyball in middle school, and they actually played against another school, and there was a contradicting win. Like the coaches, they get together, they play 2 out of 3 games, but if they have to play the third game, the coaches get together and they say, okay, do we play to 15 or do we play to 21? Well, the coaches agreed that they'd play to 21, so it was tied up, or what, they got to 15 first, and then we passed them up, and we end up fixing to hit 21. And the athletic director of that school said, no, you're only supposed to go to 15, and they nixed it and said they got to 15 first, so they made us lose. So, which it was BS, but whatever. But none of our girls wanted to shake the other girls' hands because they were all upset about the win. And my daughter, of all people, was like, no, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. And she went out there and started shaking their hand, and the whole team followed her. And that's when I knew, like, hey, my kids have been listening to me, because, she took something that I taught her and she turned it into a positive.
Yeah, and that's certainly that speaks volumes for certainly the lessons that you're trying to teach them on an every single day level. So yeah, that's amazing. Guys, if you're new here, this is a show called Gratitude. We do this every single Monday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and the show's about finding people who wish to show more thanks during their life. Each week we have 2 guests that recall circumstances and people and memories that have helped humble them in their life, that helps them reflect and grow through the act of gratitude. And I've certainly been able to have the fortunate pleasure of having Mr. Kenny Wayne on tonight. We're talking about tiny victories, and just to kind of let anybody know, he's been talking about how it's important to just have the dignity and to have the respect for other people, that, when you lose in life, you may not always lose. It's how you lose. You can lose with a bad attitude. You can lose with, certainly your head, down low, or whatever the case may be. But if you can do that and be able to respect the winner, then, in a lot of ways, you didn't lose. Everybody wins. So, that's certainly a great attitude to have. And guys, also, if you're new here to the stream, Mr. Kenny has a show that he does every single Tuesday night, 12 o'clock a.m. It's a little bit late for those guys on the East Coast, but West Coast, check him out. It's called After Dark with Kenny Wayne. It'll be on 2 hours after my show tonight. So definitely try to go over there and pop in and check him out and try to support him and show the love as much as you can. So yeah, man, I think in my life, I think that tiny victories and tiny goals is important. I think that sometimes when you have huge goals, you have huge aspirations. That's all well and good, but sometimes they're not very realistic. I think that you can sometimes set yourself too high for trying to be successful in certain areas of your life. But if you can break those things down into maybe 50 or 20 or 30 smaller goals, that I think that they can certainly feel like that they're a lot more achievable or a lot more attainable when you're able to do that. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people set themselves up for failure by trying to go too big.
Yes.
It's you take tiny steps towards a bigger goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's so well said, because if you can take the tiny steps, if you can move forward and realize that, hey, look, you can achieve this, you can attain this, it's not unrealistic. It's not an unrealistic expectation that you're putting on yourself or putting on other people. That's where success can start happening. That's where you really can get where you want to be, in a way that just seems a lot more achievable.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely, and that's not to say that you can't take big steps, because of course you can take tiny steps and then a big step, but you can't always just take big steps. And I think people set themselves up for failure, and then they get down on themselves because they didn't attain such a huge thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, you got to appreciate the small victories too.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were kind of just talking about, losing with dignity or winning with dignity, in that regard, to your daughters and things like that, what are maybe some other ways that you've taught them to have tiny victories or tiny goals or anything that you would, be comfortable with sharing?
Um, oh man, there's so many things because I've raised them exclusively by myself since they were 10. So there's been several things, and like, you're from the South, so you'll know this. Like, being from Texas, one of our big things here is yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And like, I guess one of the tiny victories for me, maybe not for them, is when they go to somebody else's house and then that person tells me, you have the most well-behaved kids and they have the most manners of anybody that's ever come to my house. And then I felt that's a victory for me. That's a small victory for me because I felt like I've done my job, because I tell them the same thing that my dad used to tell me when I was younger. Like, when you go to somebody else's house, you are to be respectable, and you're to be better there than you are here. And so when people come back and tell me how respectable my kids are, I'm like, it makes me feel like I've won.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because I actually had the amazing pleasure of spending time with my grandmother and my mom this afternoon. And when you kind of get off the app a little bit, if you're fortunate enough to be really close with your family, those are relationships that are also just as important as the ones off here. To be able to continue to build on those and for it to create a culture in your own personal life. But as I was kind of listening to what you were saying to piggyback on that, I was around my mom today and she was sharing about, how every so often, she'll hear about people say, your son is just a very respectable guy. He's just a very, yes, sir, no, sir. He's always very friendly. He's always very appreciative. He's always very kind and how he carries himself in conversation and what have you. And, when you hear things like that, that's a tiny victory too for me, especially, like you were talking about with your children. And I'm sure that my mom feels the same way. It's the fact that you feel like that you've raised your kids the right way. You feel like that they have the same respect for other people as they do for themselves. And that stuff certainly goes a long way, I think. I'm 37 years old and I'm still, certainly learning to grow and achieve certain things every single day and to be the best version of myself that I can, possibly be. And I think that, as I continue to be successful and grow in life, that I'm sure that my parents are very, very appreciative and very humbled of them trying to set the example and provide the leadership and the morals and values that they've tried to in my own life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, is there anything else that you'd kind of like to touch on with sharing tiny victories or anything that you'd like to leave with anybody as far as any kind of wonderful words of encouragement, any kind of advice?
Man, the only advice that I can give anybody is try to be better tomorrow than you were today. And as long as you do that, I don't think you can go wrong. You know, I guess that's all I know how to say.
Well, dude, hey, sometimes less is more, and I love that. I agree with that 100%. Is you want to be the best version of yourself today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and if you can lay your head down at night and feel like you've done what you can and you've accomplished that in a lot of different ways, hey, you sleep better at night. Knowing that you have done the best you can and be the best version of yourself, and I think that people can certainly resonate with that and appreciate that every single day.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, please favorite this man right here. Kenny, it's just an honor and a privilege to have you on my show. I certainly enjoyed being on yours last week. I think that you're just a very outstanding and amazing dude that I have always had a lot of respect for. I mean that sincerely. I'm not saying that just because it's a show. I've always had a lot of respect for you. I wish that we crossed paths more often, but we're both really busy. But again, man, I just want to thank you for being on the show, and I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother.
All
Be
right,
good,
man.
man.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Guys, what a great guy. What an awesome dude, man. Please hit him with that favorite, guys, in the comments. An amazing guy, amazing streamer. He's certainly one of the big dogs on the app, and he's kind of carved his own reputation for people on the app, and I'm just very honored and very just appreciative to have him on the show. So, guys, like I said, after my show tonight, please check him out. Tuesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh my goodness, I didn't know what was going on there. I have After Dark with Kenny Wayne, so definitely check him out. Definitely support his show. And again, guys, try to support all the other shows that are going on in the app. So again, just thank you so much for being here, and thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. Guys, like I said, we're going to kind of just finish talking about tiny victories with Kenny Wayne and how amazing that was in his life, and trying to set the example for his daughters and his family and things like that. Certainly a very articulate person, and I love that he shared his story. So as we kind of switch gears, we're going to switch from tiny victories to this week's topic of disappointments. And I know that's probably something that people don't really think of as, well, Jamison, what do you mean by being grateful for that? Well, disappointments is not always a negative thing. It can kind of start out that way in your life. It can be something that you're let down with. It could be something that maybe you didn't have the expectation that it was going to become this or that. But, disappointments can certainly make you a better person. It can make you view things in a way that maybe you didn't necessarily see you were going to view them before. And so, as you look at that and you think about that in your mind, disappointments is, like I said, not always a bad thing, but it can be a wonderful thing too. So, but as we kind of get into that, I'm going to introduce this week's topic, I'm going to introduce this week's guest, is Miss Yoga Pants Always. If you can request a box, and I'm super excited to talk to her as well, so I can't wait. Cannot wait.
Hi.
Hello. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Fantastic. It's already an amazing show. Kenny's
Yes.
a great guy, great topic to talk with him. And, I'm certainly excited and super stoked to be able to have this great conversation with you about the topic we're going to be discussing.
Yes.
If you kind of want to just introduce yourself to people that maybe aren't familiar with you, anything you'd like to share from a streaming perspective, or anything, you want to kind of dive into, the floor is yours.
Sure. I call myself Yoga Pants. All about working out and having a good time on my stream. And I try to get people involved as much as I can. I honestly didn't even know what this streaming thing was. When I first downloaded this app, I was downloading it for a dating website. I've been single for quite some time now. So I was looking, I just Googled top dating websites, and I found this app. So the messages were kind of like weird, and then I fell into the live, and ever since that I fell in love with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with maybe COVID, but then again, I think maybe if COVID wasn't happening, I would probably still love this just as much as if COVID wasn't happening. But I think because it was happening and we were spending more time inside, that it was more like, oh, this is awesome. I'm such a people person, so I miss going to the gym. I miss just like the camaraderie of having people around, getting you pumped up about life. And then this app came, and I was able to hit this live button, and I'm able to find that on here just in my own living room. So I'm very thankful for that.
And it's certainly, like you, to your point, very something to be very much thankful and appreciative of, for sure. I mean, because, kind of like we were talking about with Kenny, and we'll talk about with you, you can meet a lot of amazing people on the app. You can generate a lot of great and wonderful, meaningful relationships, on the app, off the app, with people that you probably would have more than likely never came in contact or in touch with, honestly.
Yes. Yeah. And it just opened up different doors, and like, I want to motivate people, and I want to, I have a story to tell, and I've changed my life in many ways. And I want to be that person. Maybe if I just help change one life on this app, then I was here for that person, and that's the reason why I was here. But I would like to help tons of people if I can, and and just share that love and the light that I've got inside of me, and just towards other people.
Yeah, I love that. And what a great attitude that is. It's like you said, to touch on that, the great love and the light that you want to shine and provide for other people. That's certainly a great attitude to have. I think that when you look at the glass as half full and not half empty, that's a great perspective to have for, any walk of life or any relationship that you have, in
Yes.
each area. I think that that's just certainly a great and wonderful attitude to have. So I can very much, appreciate that for sure.
Yes.
As we kind of get into this week's topic of disappointments, I'm sure that you've had disappointments in your life, just as like I've had them in mine as well. But is there anything in particular that you would like to share that was a disappointment, but also not necessarily to focus on the negative part of the disappointment, but in a way that you're grateful for, in a way that you feel like has humbled you and made you very appreciative of that disappointment? What has kind of, been a situation that came up for you where you feel like that, yeah, that was a disappointment, but it's totally different now?
Sure. I actually have like two major ones that come to mind, but I'm sure there have been a lot. I sometimes, in part of the line of my life is, oh, you're part of the 1%, or, oh, this never happens to anyone, but it's happening to you, kind of thing. But anyway, I'm so used to hearing that, and there's a reason why it's happening to me, and why God has a plan for everyone's life. I'm a firm believer of that. I'm born and raised in a Christian home. My parents are still together. We're a very tight knit family. When I was 13, I was walking across the street. I got hit by a truck walking. I was in a coma for 3 months. I had a tube down my throat on life support. I missed basically all of my 8th grade year. The weird thing is I hit a truck, I hit the fence, and I hit the concrete. 25 feet I flew. I had no outer damage whatsoever, no scratches, no bruises, nothing on the outside of my body. It was all internal. I had a brain contusion, and they actually didn't think I was going to make it. My friend got hit with me. I got hit first. She got hit second. She had a bruised liver. She was out of the hospital in 2 weeks. I was in the hospital for a solid 3 months, and then I had to go to aftercare for a solid 6 months after that. So that rocked my world. All I remember about that is my life flying before my eyes when I was 2 years old at Disney, to that day where I was buying a new outfit, and then hands just lifting my throat, and then I started to breathe. And my mom never left my side. She prayed by my side the whole entire time. And still, when I walk into that hospital today, they call me the miracle child. I believe that that is what brought me closer to God, or a relationship with Jesus. Because before, I really didn't know what one was. I may have grown up in the Christian home, but I didn't really understand the supernatural realm that I understood from having that experience. Sure. So I believe I had a different outlook on life, because my whole entire life was rocked at such a young age, and I'm one of two, and my brother struggles with heroin. So he's been in and out of rehabs, drug addiction, places. We've traveled to different places. We've done everything to help this man's life. And I wouldn't take that back at all. And I'm very close with him, and he's still alive to this day, and praise God for his life. But that same night that I got hit, my parents found out that he was shooting dope. So it was just like a whirlwind of things, of disappointments, right? But honestly, God has turned it into such an amazing thing. My life has just been one journey throughout the next, and one conquering thing throughout the next. And then this brings me to my next. So then I live normal life, but I am kind of crazy, and I am crazy in a good way. Because I understand that we only have one life to live, and anything can happen to you, and we have to be appreciative and live in gratitude, because we really don't know what's going to happen next, and people just live this life, and we're just waiting around for something to happen, when you need to start making things happen for yourself. Then I found myself in I got hurt 12 years ago. I got hurt at work. I have 3 major herniated discs in my lower back, degenerative disc disease. I weighed 325 pounds. I was taking tons of pain medicines. Just living that kind of life, partying my butt off, not really caring about myself in any kind of way, my physical self in the right way, when it came to my back problem or my life, period. And all the doctors that I went to, were just saying, we want to have surgery, get on pain meds, and all this stuff. So anyway, long story short, I decided to sign up for Planet Fitness, and I dropped 90 pounds in a year.
Wow. Congratulations. Just right there.
Diet and walking, and anybody can do it. And I'm just a firm believer. I'm just a girl that had a vision, and I saw myself getting healthy, and I needed to get to that point of being healthy again. And I just had like kind of like blinders on, like a horse race blinders. And I just saw myself and it didn't matter, all the no's, all the little small no's, kind of like the small, like things that you're just like, oh, it won't be a big deal if I do partake in that certain thing. And it really is a big deal, because that certain thing is leading you down into that wrong path. Well, I just said no to a lot of those things, whether it be driving through the drive-through, whether it be going out to the bar, whether it be going to that happy hour that I would normally go stuff my face, just different things that I would just do to self, whatever, not be good to myself. I've chose to the road of life instead. And now I'm just like an advocate of, I do workout classes. I have a personal trainer. My back, I don't take any more pain meds. My back feels like $1 million now because I do yoga. I can stand here and say, like, I don't need a pain med to make myself, like, I was like, when am I going back to the doctor? When am I going back to the doctor? I don't live that life anymore. God bless me with great health insurance, and I don't even have to use it because I've decided to use my life in the right direction, in the right way, to do better for myself, which anybody can do, so.
Love that. Like you said, it's certainly a lot of different things, a mindset, it's an attitude, it's a perspective that you have, and that's really, really important. So I'm glad to hear that. Guys, if you're new to this show, this is called Gratitude. We do this every Monday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you're new to this is a show about finding people to wish to show more thanks during their life. Each week's guest, we have 2 guests every week that were called memories and people and circumstances that have helped humble them. And it helps them just reflect and grow through the act of gratitude. And we're kind of talking to Yoga Pants always tonight about, disappointments that she's had in her life. And, as you kind of share the story about, the stuff that your brother went through, the struggles that you had, with your back, as you continue to think about the near-death experience that you had in your life, everybody would look at those as disappointments. Everybody would look at those as situations and circumstances that would be hard for anybody to overcome, because those are very, very difficult and creative challenges that would be tough for anybody. Any one of those, and you dealt with 3 of them. So, for you to be there and to continue to, put it this way, for you to have the right attitude about, the perspective of the faith that you have in your life, the way that you feel like that God has been there for you and your family, that's helped you get through a lot of difficult times in your life. That's certainly something to be very grateful for, within itself, because, everybody has different perspectives. Everybody has different, opinions or beliefs or whatever the case may be. But for that to be such an important and integral part of your life, certainly speaks volumes about you as a person, because, a lot of times I don't think people understand that when we go through things like that in our life, that we can't deal with all that stuff by ourselves. We have to deal with family. We have to deal with friends. We have to deal with, what power that we believe in, that looks over our life. I think a lot of times, not to get into that too much, but I feel like whatever your, perspective is on beliefs, when certain doors, close, other ones open.
Amen.
When disappointments happen in your life, and you see those doors closing, you have to realize that they'll open up in a different way, in a different light, that you may have to go through some trials, you may have to go through some tribulations in your experience in life to understand and appreciate those disappointments.
Amen. Yes. Yeah.
Do you feel like that? I guess probably all 3 of those things and circumstances were all different that you went through. Do you feel like that any of those in particular brought you to where you are today? Do you feel like any of that has made you appreciate disappointments that you have in your life to be able to have a better, more positive, grateful perspective on things when it kind of hits the fan?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, the storm is going to come at you. How are you going to be in the storm? Are you going to be all right with riding the storm out, or are you going to kick and scream the whole time? Yeah. And is there a way to calm the storm just by you choosing different ways of life in that storm? There's always ways, and reaction is key, just reacting to different things that happen in your life. Just like taking a step back and realizing that maybe this is happening because it's supposed to open a door, like that you said, for another reason. Like, if I didn't have this back problem, dude, I would probably be 150 pounds, still overweight, smoking a pack a day, drinking, not giving a shit about myself, about to do my next color on the side of the, salon or whatever, and just like not really caring about myself in the right way. But God said, hey, no, I have a plan for your life. And yeah, this is going to be fucking painful. But guess what? You're going to grow, and you're going to be such a strong woman, and you're going to empower all these people to change their life because of your story. And I'll tell you what, man, the relationships and the people that I have met because of my back problem has just been like eye-opening, that like God does work in the storms, guys. Like, you may think that you're lost now, or there's a huge storm that's happening in your life, and you're like, how the hell am I going to get out of this? There is light always at the end of the tunnel, and I'm a firm believer of that always. And you got to not lose that.
I think it's hard a lot of times for people to, sometimes see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that there have certainly been situations and circumstances in my own life where I didn't see that there, was any light at the end of the tunnel, or I didn't feel like that there was any conclusion or that anything was going to get better.
Yes.
But, a lot of those times it comes down to your perspective. It certainly comes down to the people that you surround yourself with. You have to surround yourself with positive people. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to build you up, uplift you, in a lot of ways. And then, other times too, a lot of that falls on yourself. You can't really just completely and entirely rely on other people.
Amen.
It's nice to have that. It's
Amen.
nice to have the foundation of people that, can really encourage you and really uplift you in the way that you need to. But a lot of it, like you said, it just comes down to yourself. It comes down to willpower. It comes down to, the disappointments. When you're facing a brick wall, you're either going to tear down the wall or you're going to, go over it. You can't go around it. You have to kind of take that stuff head on. And if you can do that with the right attitude and the right mentality, and realize that disappointments aren't necessarily always a bad thing, that they can be a really great thing too. And it can be a lot of wonderful learning, lessons in life. Then that's where you really can, in my mind anyway, feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and if we realize like that when the disappointment is happening, it's like that's when we're growing, and nothing is good. Nothing stays good in stagnant water. There's nothing really that comes good. I'm sure there are a couple things that come good from stagnant water. There's a reason why there's stagnant water out there. But we as people aren't supposed to be stagnant. We're supposed to be forever moving and forever changing. And in that storm is what makes us grow to become that better person that we're going to be, because we've conquered that storm.
Yes.
Way to go with the storm!
Yeah, speaking of. But hey, but like you said though, getting on the other side of that, it's important. I mean, because you have to experience that stuff in life. You may not always have the answers. You may not always have the solutions at the time that you want them. But as you go through that stuff, as you go through the disappointments in life and things of that nature, that's when you can start to figure out and find those things. Because, when you start fresh and everything's great, and everything's wonderful and butterflies and clouds in the sky and all that, you don't look at stuff like that with that perspective.
Yes.
But as you go through that stuff in life, and like you said, when you hit the thunder and lightning,
yes,
when you go through the tough stuff, that's when you start to appreciate life more. That's when you start to have a better understanding of where you're at in life, where you want to be, and also, maybe possibly the people that you want to continue to surround yourself with every day.
Yeah, and like something beautiful always comes out of the storm, guys. And if that something beautiful, whether you won't even see it, maybe you might not see it for 5 years until the story, and you look back and you're like, holy crap, that's why that happened. Yeah. Or like, and sometimes it doesn't connect right away, and like life doesn't make any sense, but like, that's why I have faith. I think when you have faith and you believe in something supernatural, and there's a higher power, which is for me, Jesus Christ, that life, you're never alone, and that you can get through things, and you have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. You know what I mean? The bottom line, don't matter what you believe in, but you got to love yourself, period, before you can love everybody else. And a lot of people try to get into a relationship or fill that void or something without loving themselves first. And that's a lot of the reason why the relationship or whatever is not working out, because you got to love yourself the right way first.
Yeah, I've always had a really amazing perspective, or tried to at least, in the sense of, when you go through life, no one's an island. Everybody
Amen.
can try to figure things out on their own. Everybody can go through life and think, well, I got this. I don't really need
No.
anybody. It's my
Yep.
life to live, or whatever the case may be. But I've always had that perspective of that no one is an island. And, I've tried to always have that mindset. And, then the interesting comment that I also heard one time was by Chris himself. He was on Dr. Marissa. She's a fellow content creator. She has a show on the app as well. He said a great thing that says, you teach people how to treat you.
Amen.
And I think that that is a wonderful thing to have when it comes to disappointments in your life, when it comes to, like we were talking about with Kenny earlier, the tiny victories.
Yes.
You have to realize that you're not an island. You have to realize also that you teach people how to treat you. And as you continue to add certain pieces to those puzzles, that's when the perspective changes. That's when the disappointments turn from what they are originally, which were disappointments, into wow, that was a lesson learned. That was a great experience for me that I didn't necessarily see because I was over here. But as I get over here, it's like, man, that's like I have a whole different vision. I have a whole insight. I have a whole
Yes.
enlightenment of what I'm really trying to see. And that's certainly, how I've tried to continue to live my life each and every single day. Guys, if you're new here,
Amen.
this is a show that we do every single Monday night. It's called Gratitude, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Monday. And like I said, it's about finding people that want to show thanks during their life. We have two guests every single week, guys, that recall circumstances, people in their lives, memories in their lives that have humbled them, that help them reflect and grow through the act of gratitude. And we're talking to, Miss Yoga Pants always about disappointments. Do you have anything that you'd maybe like to sum up or add to, as a
Just
wonderful slice of advice for people? Yeah.
Just like even when you do think, you're on the road and the storm did pass, don't be alarmed if other storms come your way during that time. And like, honestly, the closer you get, for me, like, in my journey with God, the closer you get to God, the more you're going to get attacked by storms. The more you want to grow and into loving yourself. If you don't believe in God, how about this? The more you want to grow into loving yourself and making yourself better, the more storms you're going to come across, because that's just how life is. And like, that's just how it works. So whenever you're trying to do something really good, there always is going to be storms. So know that, like, if you are trying to do something good and there are storms coming your way, to keep plowing through those storms. And there is a reason why you're doing the thing that you're doing, even if those storms are feeling like even heavier than you even thought that they were than they were before. So just plow through the storms, and while the storm is happening, just have a perspective of this too shall pass, and who knows what is going to come out of this amazing, even though it's not so amazing situation, what could be an amazing situation later on down the road. And so I think, Jamison, thank you so much for having me on here. I mean, this has been awesome too. So I don't know if we're closing.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable, and everybody, you and Kenny as well. I mean, to be able to have a show like this, I'm very grateful for that every single week. We have different topics and we have different people with different personalities and things like that, but we're able to talk about vulnerable topics, vulnerable situations that are really important that we might not necessarily be able to share on a stream every day when we're, listening to music or spinning wheels or doing the case, whatever we can. It's nice to be able to have a show like this on an amazing platform, to be able to provide that kind of content that I think a lot of times a lot of people really appreciate, for sure.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for taking the time again out of your busy schedule to be here and to be so open and vulnerable with me and the wonderful people that support me all the time. I just wanted to again thank you and appreciate you for doing that. And it's just been such an honor and a privilege to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Jamison. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you. Much love.
All right. Guys, please favorite Miss Yoga Pants always in the bottom. Please favorite Mr. Kenny Wayne. He shared a tremendous story about, tiny victories in his life, how he's been able to, certainly set a standard and set an example for his daughters in his life. And, Miss Yoga Pants always talking about, the things that she's been through with her life and near-death experience, the situation she went through with, her brother, the situation she went through with her back. To be able to go through all that, to be able to experience those disappointments in life, and for her to continue to have the success that she's had for her health and her mental state, that's amazing. So just wanted to thank you guys again for being here. It's been a wonderful show. We were off last week, guys, but it's nice to kind of be back. It's really nice to be back and to be able to just grace my presence with you guys, and for y'all to be able to do the same. It's been an amazing journey for sure. Let me go ahead and just reflect real quick and revisit those quotes with you guys. For disappointments is, the size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dream, and how you handle disappointment along the way. The other quote is this: what a feeling of empowerment to discover we can persevere through disappointment rather than crumble in the face of it. Let me read that one more time, guys. The size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dream, and how you handle disappointment along the way. What a feeling of empowerment to discover we can persevere through disappointment rather than crumble in the face of it. Guys, that's two amazing quotes right there, and that's certainly going to leave me with a great attitude for the rest of the week. I know it's only Monday. I know a lot of us are busy at work, maybe got kids and things and all that going on. But, just thank you for being here, and continue to just remember those quotes to just be able to be uplifting and certainly grateful for that. Guys, next week's topic is this, and if you're ever interested in being on the show, guys, please hit me up. It's on this side. Please hit me up in my bio. There's my Instagram link. You can hit me up with a DM on Instagram. You can hit me up with a message on here if you ever would be interested in being a guest on the show. We're always looking for wonderful personalities, great people with great stories, with great topics that we go with each and every single week. So just hit me up on Instagram, send me a message on here. I have a group of people that help me with guests, help me with content. And it's just certainly something that's just an amazing show to be a part of every single week. But guys, next week's topic is this. It's going to be time for yourself and self-reflection. So that's what we're going to be talking about, being grateful for that, being grateful for time for yourself and also self-reflection. I know a lot of times we want to try to do that, but that's what we're going to go with next week. And again, guys, thank you so much for being here. That's the show. Whew, let's go. Whew, what a show, guys. Let me change my photo real quick. Ooh, love it. I love it. I don't know who's still up in here, guys. Sorry with the show, guys. We're talking about great stuff.